The first voting in key states begins in just 21 days, and the first Harris-Trump debate is actually scheduled for 15 days from now. So tonight we will be looking down the road to these big campaign events. We also have Professor Michael Eric Dyson and Jelani Cobb coming up this hour. The Democrats' new musical star, DJ Cassidy, will also join us by the end of the hour. So I invite you to get comfortable. We have a lot cooking for you. Right now we begin with new signs that Kamala Harris is gaining momentum from the DNC. All the speeches delivered, all the balloons dropped, all the points made and hammered home again. And the political question then becomes this week how this convention is or is not shaping the race. Well, we know more about that as we begin the week. Trump's convention, of course, was his first speech since narrowly avoiding that horrific assassination. There was huge interest going into the RNC, and it did draw an audience. But the DNC, we can now tell you, narrowly beat the RNC in the total traditional TV audience, with 28 million plus viewers watching Harris's finale speech. That is high. That is big interest. And that means that while you may follow the news or listen to Harris pretty regularly, we now know, and we can tell you this today as a fact, more people heard her last week than any time since October 2020. That's the last time she had that large a live TV audience, and it was during the debate with Mike Pence. There are also signs that Harris and the convention's key points reached tens of millions more people through streaming and social media. I've mentioned this to you before. If we are going to understand our world as it changes, we need to track how it's changing. And so linear TV, as they call it, still matters. Newspapers still matter. Traditional interviews still matter. I'm not telling you it's all been replaced, but a whole lot of people and younger voters tend to get their information elsewhere. And Democrats, as you see on the screen, may be opening up an edge on Republicans here with 21 million plus separate views in online streams. So if you take it all together, you're talking about tens and tens of millions of people who saw some of the DNC, which means what happened in Chicago may not stay in Chicago. It may be shaping the national race. In other words, here is what people are still talking about.
Our best days are not behind us, they're before us.
This convention has always been pretty good to kids with funny names who believe in a country where anything is possible.
Who's going to tell him that the job he's currently seeking might just be one of those black jobs?
Let's all choose Kamala Harris.
It's the fourth quarter. We're down a field goal, but we're on offense and we've got the ball.
I accept your nomination to be President of the United States of America.
This convention stands a good chance to be on that very small list of significant moments in modern American history.
That whole convention, just amazing.
Democratic officials, delegates, the activists, all clearly enthused. And as you heard there, some historians, other independent observers have noted that whatever your politics, this was an effective and energetic program. It showcased as well governors making a clear case against Trump.
Hear me on this. It sure as hell isn't freedom to say you can go vote, but he gets to pick the winner. That's not freedom.
Take it from an actual billionaire. Trump is rich in only one thing: stupidity.
Like women across America, we just GSD. Get stuff done.
So that's some of what was said, what you may have heard if you followed it. Political conventions, though, are also stories. And that means, like any big or good story, it matters how they end. And the RNC began effectively. High stakes, as I mentioned, over the return of Donald Trump after the horrific shooting. Apparent unity for him in that crowd, which was a contrast to the Republicans' very divided 2016 convention. But the RNC ended poorly, with Trump giving a long speech that even Fox News viewers turned off as it stretched past 90 minutes. We have the data. Even Republican operatives conceded that was an unforced error. And so it started big, ended at least mediocre. This DNC, however, ended with a political climax. Harris landing her speech, the DNC drawing the most viewers that night, as I mentioned, and a massive show of support continuing, pouring out from party activists. Harris has now raised $82 million during the DNC week alone. Her total haul now over $500 million in 1 month. Harris has also used these campaign events and last week as a kind of proof of concept. Remember, we all were there 5-6 weeks ago when Democratic candidates, especially in tough districts, were fleeing Joe Biden as a campaign figure. Now they want in on this campaign. They're excited about it, Axios reports, noting an army of House surrogates that are emerging. Democrats are going on offense this week in Georgia. That's the kind of state they would like to win, but would not need to win for Harris to take the Electoral College if they hold the blue wall. An effective convention also dominates the larger conversation. Many think that's happening as Trump has remained visibly on defense for days. His own former aides note that he's phoning it in. That's their term, that he's become low energy and undisciplined. It feels as if he's lost his mojo, said the Trump White House vet. Now, mojo, as Austin Powers will tell you, or momentum in political terms, is infamously difficult to measure. By the way, as we showed you in some of those highlights, Democrats still insist that they're either down a bit or at best tied. But campaigning is also certainly about inviting everyone in, and that means sharing who you are, who you want to be, and making room for people, for having fun. It can even help to be cool. Sure, it certainly doesn't hurt. And the convention also showed that.
Turn out for what? In the words of the great Steph Curry, we can tell Donald Trump, night, night.
Go vote. Be active. Let's show out in November like never before.
I guess Donald Trump will finally know what it's like when you get left for a younger woman.
First you say comma like a comma in a sentence. Then you say la like la 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 la.
Put it together and it's 1, 2, 3, Kamala.
Those are just some of the moments that you might recall. Many of them landed because they were real. They were planned for an audience and a purpose, of course, but kind of like a wedding toast, people can tell if someone prepared it and then shared something authentic or did something else. Now, you may have heard people say sometimes, okay, well, this isn't a popularity contest, which is actually funny because it sort of is. I mean, Donald Trump famously took the Electoral College in 2016 by doing something that you could imagine working in a certain kind of high school type popularity contest. He was a vulgar bully. People knew that. It was seen and exposed. But he was a bully who convinced enough people that he sort of represented something, that his type of defiance and rule breaking might be good for them, good for the country, bad for the swamp. It was an us and them thing. And yes, I'm simplifying. But it was a bully who could win a type of popularity contest once. Since then, the voters have not rushed back to the MAGA Republican Party. Not in 2018. Not in 2020 when they booted Trump. And not in 2022 when the Biden-Harris administration beat long-standing trends that run against incumbents. This Harris convention appears to have legs, as they say, momentum, mojo, appears to be lasting precisely because it fits into that larger debate without what had become the gravitational political pull of Joe Biden, a man who had maybe met his moment, but also outlasted his moment, which is not necessarily a bad thing for him as a person, but is a thing that the country was processing. The Harris Convention offering a different type of path to popularity, to even a type of populism that is, yes, proudly progressive, not apologetic, that is about freedom, that is about inclusion, and it was also, believe it or not, about having a good time. And we are joined by Jelani Cobb from The New Yorker and Dean of the Graduate School of Journalism at Columbia and Chief Creative and Content Officer for The Daily Beast and longtime international journalist Joanna Coles. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Popularity contest or not, was that a party people want to join? Does it matter in the weeks ahead, or does it just sort of fade away, the convention?
No, I mean, I think there are a few things that are at play here. One is, a very kind of subtle strategic thing that they did very early on, which is that everyone has been saying, that Donald Trump poses a serious threat, and so on people on the Democratic side of things, and they've been talking about him in these, stern, grave voices. And Kamala said he's an unserious person. Represents a serious threat, but he's an unserious person, and has proceeded to campaign with the kind of effusive joy and happiness, the kind of happy warrior. The people who, follow boxing, know, you'd always see like the guy who's getting in the ring who looks furious and like angry and just he wants to tear someone apart. And that's not the guy you worry about. You worry about the person who gets in the ring happy, the person who's like, I finally get to do the thing that I'm good at. And so what really, I think, will dictate this is the tone, if she carries that tone into the debates with him, which I could see, that being a kind of microcosm of the awkwardness, the kind of flustered quality that he's had ever since she entered the race.
Am I the only person that found the DNC 2 days too long? We covered it in myopic detail at the Daily Beast. We really did. But by the fourth night...
Everything in American politics is too long.
I know, it's too long. In Europe, we would have gone through 4 cycles of elections by now, just since the DNC. I just found it far too long. And really, when they're bringing out every B celebrity... And you're like, either it's Beyonce or bust. I just needed the Obamas, maybe a little bit of Oprah, always a good thing. And then, obviously, her speech, and Tim Walz and Gus. Gus Waltz, what a star. The internet was on fire for him. He was extraordinary. So I do think we've been introduced to a new array of characters, which feels very exciting. I think people are very bored, and we're clearly very bored at the prospect of Biden and Trump, the rematch. And now we have an entirely new set of characters, which I'm very excited about. But I think in 4 years' time, I would advise the Democrats to shrink it by 50%.